People are amazing. At least I like to believe that people are wonderful. I would love to call myself a people person. I'm somebody who loves being around people, and I think on a general scale, I would love to. I would just love to say people are really okay. Okay, I love being around people, but that doesn't take away from the fact that some people might not just be good for you. And it does not matter whether they are a good person. Maybe you guys do not just click, you guys do not just align with each other's purpose, or for whatever reason that might be, you guys do not just click, okay? And if you've been like me, then you've probably been somebody who was or is still around somebody who they've been having some thoughts about whether they align with that person. I used to be this sort of guy who would know, okay? Maybe not know, but have this nudge, this feeling, this sort of intuitive feeling that I'm not sure this person actually is for me. Like most of the times, the red flags are there. Most of the time, these feelings are so strong. You feel it in your gut. You feel it deep down in your soul that there is something off. But as I was, okay, me being someone who would call himself a people person, I did not want to cut people off. I did not want to remove anybody from my life, okay? I would always hurt people and keep people, regardless of the ones that were hurting me, the ones who weren't aligned with me, the ones who were gossiping me, the ones who were, just not rooting for me in total. I would sort of keep them smile, tone down my personality a bit, sort of camouflage. Would I put it that way? You're sort of suffocating yourself around this kind of people. And I think that's why I was doing this sort of thing was because of the fact that I was afraid of losing people. There was this fear of I don't want to lose people, okay? I don't want to cut people off. I don't even want to deal with the conflict of removing people from my life or with the conflict of even confronting people. I always just wanted to say, I can manage this, or I'll turn a blind eye. I'll just keep on trying to push myself into that friendship, that relationship, that whatever. I was just trying to just pack as many people as I wanted or as I can into my life. And I am so happy that gone are those days because I do not do that anymore. And let me tell you, life has been significantly better. This is no joke at all. Since I started nitpicking and started selecting the kind of people that I let into my circle, life has been freaking beautiful. I'm telling you, the conversations, the quality of people, the circle of people around me, the conversations are now very different. They've all just improved, okay? And so today I'm going to be talking about signs that it's time to leave that person, okay? Because you cannot be on your self-development journey and surround yourself with people who are just bad for you, okay? Bad for you. The first sign that someone might not be good for you is how you feel after hanging around them. Okay, now there's this podcaster slash book author slash content creator slash public figure who I've mentioned multiple times on this podcast in previous episodes. Her name is Tam Kaur, and she is one of my idols of self-development, of people who talk about self-development. She's spoken about it so many times. She's dropped some really great points. And one of the things she said that I found really, really important and that I looked into and I thought was wonderful was that people who you hang around with, whenever you finish hanging around those people, you should feel some sort of way. And by some sort of way, it means that people should either leave you feeling positive, feeling inspired, feeling motivated, or at the very least, feeling neutral. You want to hang around people who, after the entire encounter, you either are left feeling inspired, feeling motivated, feeling good, or at least just feeling normal. You don't want to hang around somebody who, after you're done hanging around them, you're like, damn, like did I act stupid? What I said there, was it good enough? Was I really funny enough? And I'm not talking about anxiety. So I'm talking of you just knowing that the encounter with this person, something just entirely felt off. And it's not just with this particular encounter, with multiple encounters around this person, you're starting to notice this pattern of things just feeling off. And so you're feeling drained, you're feeling somehow even less energized than you came into that encounter with the person. As somebody who is on their self-development journey, the last thing you want to be around is people who would drain you, who would belittle you, or who would make you feel any sort of way that is not good. Now, when I say that people should, leave you feeling energized and good and positive, I'm not saying that every time you guys should be, giving motivational speeches to each other back to back, sort of like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do it. No, that would just be somehow, okay? I'm talking of the encounters might be positive, the encounters might be motivational, it should be inspiring, or at the very least, someone you hang around with should at least make you feel good, if not about anything, but at least about yourself, about the life you're building for yourself, and the entire encounter should be in alignment with what you want for yourself. Because you can't tell me that you want to be the best version of yourself, you want to grow, you want to be comfortable in your own skin, you want to be able to share your ideas, you want to try out that business, you want to start that podcast, you want to start that content creation, you want to start writing that book, you want to start writing that particular article, and you are surrounding yourself with people who, after you finish hanging around, you're not feeling inspired to pursue that particular venture, that particular idea, that particular thing that you want to do. Rather, you're starting to doubt yourself. You're starting to feel somehow about that particular goal you brought up. That is not how it's supposed to be. People are supposed to leave you feeling motivated, inspired, happy, neutral, or at least just feeling good about yourself. Call it selfish, call it anything, but that is just how it should be. Anything less, that is just you not appreciating or knowing your self-worth. So sort of vet the people that you hang around with and think about what sort of feelings arise when you think of your conversations or the hangouts you have with these people. Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel like yourself, that is your complete and entire self around these people? I know for a very, very long time, and even sometimes occasionally right now, I often feel awkward around people that I would just be like, oh, this feelings is coming up. I still feel somehow around this particular person. And then I vet that entire relationship, if it's really worth my time to stay there and figure it out, or if it's something I should just cut off. Because in this point of your self-development, the last thing you want to be doing is to keep people around who you know are not making you feel inspired, they're not making you feel motivated. Anybody who makes you feel less than any positive emotion that you are supposed to feel after hanging around them, that in itself is a sign that you should vet that person, and that person probably is not supposed to be in your circle. The next sign that somebody might not be good for you and that you should probably consider cutting off that person is when there is an obvious lack of respect. Now, lack of respect can come in many ways. One of the ways that lack of respect can come in is when there is the person is sort of disregarding your opinions, or when they call you names or tease you in ways that you do not find comfortable, to the point of you even telling them that, hey, you do not find this good, or you do not find this okay, and they keep on doing this. An example would be that there was somebody, a friend I used to have, and this person would often tease me about something that I did not like, maybe something about my personality. And they would tease me about it, not just my personality, alongside other things. They would tease me about it, they would make fun of it. At first I found it kind of funny, but then it was no longer, would I say, an inside joke between us. It was not something that they were just saying randomly out of the blue around strangers, around people for no reason actually. And at some point I had to call it out, to them and be like, hey, I don't think I like this stuff that you're doing. It makes me feel so and so way, and I don't just like it. I would actually appreciate it if you stopped that. And the person tells that, yeah, sure, they acknowledge it's fine and all of that. But then that person continued doing it. Guess who cut that person off? This guy. Okay, so disrespect can come in many shapes, many ways, and many forms. But you tend to just feel this sort of, this person doesn't really respect my ideas. This person doesn't really respect my opinion. This person doesn't really respect me as a person. Another way that disrespect can actually show up in a friendship or in any relationship can be in a situation whereby a friend comes up to you and this friend is always telling you about their problems, their thoughts, their worries, their ideas, their opinions. You are just receiving all of it and you are there for them. You are giving them your absolute attention. You are being focused and present in that conversation with them. But whenever it's your time to do the same, all of a sudden the other side of the room looks particularly interesting to them. or all of a sudden their cell phone is very, very interesting and they can't just take their eyes off of it, or they are just absent minded. That in itself, as little or as minuscule as it is a sign of disrespect. And I know that multiple people must have gone through or had similar experiences like this. That in itself is a sign of disrespect, whereby you respect and you value that person's time, that person's presence, that person's feelings, opinions, and thoughts. But whenever it's your turn to do the same, or to pour out, or to even vent out, all of a sudden they are just unavailable. All of a sudden they are just not, they're not just, they give you the replies that are, distant, or somehow that in itself is a sign of disrespect. And you should definitely consider whether you want to keep this person in your side, or whether that is a red flag and that you should cut them off. I think one of the saddest things that a person can actually do is to sort of shrink their self and shrink their personality and try to be catching up consistently around people who they call their friends, or around people in their inner circle. And this is no shade to anybody who is doing that. I can understand why. And I've honestly done that, okay? I've honestly been where you are when it comes to trying to morph so that people can sort of, when I say accept you into their circle, or see you in a certain light or in a certain way. And to be very honest, I think that is a big disservice to yourself, because if you are consistently going to be around people who you are going to be morphing yourself around, I think that would lead to you eventually getting frustrated with keeping that mask on. I think that when it comes to being yourself and your authentic self at that, when you are doing that consistently, those who are not meant to be around you would not be around you eventually, and you would end up finding your tribe. Okay, and I see you. Okay, I see you. Honestly, if you're somebody who's sort of been trying to catch up to people, or try to morph yourself around people, especially people who are supposed to be your friends, or people who you're considering your friends, or people who are supposed to be close in your inner circle, I see you, and I understand. It's like, oh my god, this person is so cool. Oh my gosh, you're placing this person on a high pedestal. You're placing this person on a high pedestal. I see you, but I think honestly, if you consistently do that, that in itself is a red flag that person is definitely not for you. And what I would say is that you should place yourself on a high pedestal, or place yourself on that pedestal that you place people on top of. Because when you consistently keep on placing people on a high pedestal, it's going to affect the way you encounter, or even the way you interact with them. You're sort of interacting with them in this sort of psychological hierarchy. And if you can sort of build your self-esteem, not only would you start to understand that you should stop placing just anybody on a hierarchy, especially above yourself, but you would come to understand that being your authentic self and placing yourself first will not only attract your tribe of people who are on that same frequency, who also think that way, but you will end up just feeling better about yourself. And so if you find yourself being around anybody that you have to sort of pretend to maybe like what they like, or sort of speak how they speak, do what they do, just so they can accept you, just so they can like you, just understand that that friendship, that relationship is off. It's a sign. You should just cut them off for your own good and for your own benefits. Okay, so far I've talked about 3 signs that a person might not be good for you. The first sign was where I talked about how you feel after hanging around that person, whereby I talked about people should leave you feeling a particular sort of emotion, or feeling a particular sort of way. The second sign was whereby I talked about when there is lack of respect in that friendship, lack of respect of you, lack of respect of your opinions, lack of respect of your thoughts. And the third sign, which I just finished talking about now, is a sign whereby, or a situation whereby you find yourself shrinking, morphing, disguising your personality or who you are around that person. Okay. And now the last sign, which I'm going to talk about, whereby this sign shows that a person might not be good for you, is they do not show up for you and they repeatedly break your trust or their word. Now, this links into the second sign whereby I said that they disrespect you, or there is disrespect in that sort of relationship. An example would be, like I said in that second episode, whereby you are sort of always there for them. You are always sort of being their wingman. You are their therapist. You are always there for this person. You provide support in whichever way you can. Okay, forgetting that you are human too. And then when it's your time, or when you require those favors, or when it's your turn, these sort of people are just not available. They're not there to show up for you. They're not there to support you. They do not even listen to you. I think the bare minimum, if there is no capability for financial support, if there is no capability for any other sort of support, I think the bare minimum in friendships and people in your close circle should be this sort of mutual understanding, to this sort of closeness and this sort of ability to be emotionally available for your friend. And if they are not there for you in these ways, honestly, why are you even hanging around with this person? You get? Because you can't be there for them and they are not there for you. That is completely one-sided. So I want you to think, what sort of people in your life are always taken from you and not really given to you? They always have this sort of excuse, this sort of, you're always there, they're always saying, oh, I'm sorry that I could not make it. Oh, I'm sorry I'm not available. Oh, it's not how I really am. Something just came to my mind. Sorry I wasn't there for you. I promise I'll be better next time. But they never keep their promises. They keep on breaking your trust. They keep on making you second guess the entire relationship. If you have somebody like that in your life, it's a red flag in itself. And I think at this point, your conscience should be telling you that this person should be judged and vetted and probably removed from your life. I think in the journey of self development, you do not want to be surrounding yourself with people who do not add value to your life. And that value can be in any way, in any shape, and in any form, but you know what is good for you, right? And so the more you keep on surrounding yourself with miserable, disrespectful people who do not care, emotionally unavailable people, the more frustrated and the more downhill you'll be going in your self-development journey. Okay, you can be perfecting yourself, but the people you surround yourself with is a very crucial aspect of self-development. And so surrounding yourself with people who you know you can count on their word, who you know are there to fulfill whatever needs you'll be needing at that moment, emotional needs, financial needs, and I'm sure it's mutual. It's going to be mutual. You do not want to be in a sort of friendship or relationship whereby it's just one-sided, but in a sort of relationship whereby that person is there for you and you are there for them. It's not one-sided. That is a green flag block. But if the reverse is the case, whereby you are just the person putting out effort, reaching out, putting out all you can into this friendship, and then this person is just emotionally unavailable, they're not doing anything in that friendship, my dear, that is a red flag. Okay, that is a freaking red flag. Okay, I want you to sort of remember something, and if at all you take anything from this episode, let it just be that you are who you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with people who are not in any way to develop themselves, who are not in any shape ready to work on themselves, or who don't even bring you any sort of joy, you are just going to be frustrated with your self-development journey. You should sort of remember that if you're hanging around 4 losers, you're going to be the 5th one. If you're hanging around 4 winners, you're eventually going to be the 5th one. And you are who you surround yourself with. So surround yourself with people who are passionate about what they are passionate about, or surround yourself with people who are very honest. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. Surround yourself with people who motivate you to be the best version of yourself. If they find it cliche, if they find it cheesy, if they find it very weird, then they are definitely not your tribe. Okay, if you're somebody who's passionate about your self-development, if you're somebody who's passionate about growth, about just wanting to improve on themselves, the last people you want to be hanging around with are people who do not just have that goal in their mind, because whether you like it or not, they are not just going to get it. Okay, they're not just going to understand it, and they would not contribute to that journey. And so just be yourself. Remove who is not adding value to your life. Be your authentic self, and you would eventually find your tribe. That I believe with my whole heart. And that is all I've got for today's episode, folks. Thank you for listening to this episode to the very end. If in line with the theme in line with the theme of this episode, if I actually do bring you value, and you really actually think I'm pretty cool, check out the Almost 20 podcast on Instagram at Almost 20 podcast. Check out me, your host, on Instagram at _ Guy Martins. If you would like to know when a new episode is dropped, if you're listening on Spotify, you can just click the notification bell beside the follow button so that you'll be notified anytime a new episode drops. I would really appreciate it if you commented down below about what you thought about the episode. This was really fun, guys. This was really, really fun. And I'd just like to know what you thought about it. All in all, I really hope you guys, or you that is listening, you surround yourself with people who are just good for you. Okay? Until next time, talk to you later. Bye. Bye bye.